His Excellency, Mr. President, thank you once again for joining our humble summer school. If you allow, I will try to moderate our summer school and try to pick up the questions. So we agreed to raise our hands with our participants and then follow with the questions.
My question is a bit general concerning the format of this school, because recently I was also following the recording of your speech with Gori's school participants, a leadership school that is being done, and now you're here with us. So I'm wondering, why do you prioritize this? What kind of benefit you see in this? And basically, why is it important for you as a president to spend your time with young people who are focused on the issues of Armenia?
Good.
Hello, thank you so much for taking my question. I really appreciate this opportunity. Something I wanted to ask about, especially in the context of this program, is how Armenia imagines itself coordinating on environmental policy, especially since climate change is one of the most urgent issues that we face as a world.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you a lot for being here with us. And in the scope of our summer school, I would kindly ask you a question regarding Armenian foreign policy, and I would like you to answer how could you define Armenia's foreign policy?
My role as a president of the republic, in a parliamentary republic, of course it's completely different than the presidency when you have presidential republic. And the challenges are clear. Among many challenges, there are challenges of the inertia of political thinking amongst population and institutions of Armenia. By inertia, a lot of them still think that, it's presidency, that means it's in executive power, and of course president can do this or president can do that. Sometimes the expectations are becoming sort of high expectations, and sometimes these high expectations are unrealistic because the constitution and the format of the parliamentary republic doesn't allow president to do it or to execute that, or presidency and the president personally doesn't have the necessary instruments of exercising or fulfilling that expectation. So during the 2 years of presidency here, one of my jobs was also to educate people, to explain to them that they should have realistic expectations from the presidential institute in the parliamentary republic, and sometimes guide them what to expect and what to do. Of course, it doesn't mean that I'm praising here passive relations with the general public or political institutions or parliamentary or extra-parliamentary political parties, not at all. In fact, the presidency here, and I personally, I'm someone that lived a very active life, be that in science or diplomacy. I used to be a diplomat representing Armenia in many countries. If you look at presidential instruments or presidential responsibilities, they looked quite limited. But even with these limited ones, there is huge space that we can utilize, and we utilize some of them in the form of presidential initiatives. Presidential initiatives are things that we have decided that they are priorities for the nation, and I can give you a couple of examples. They don't contradict or they don't clash with what the government is doing, running their own executive programs, but they are like locomotives showing where should we go. And I can give you an example, and one of the examples is a project that was announced a couple of months ago. It's called High Park. High in Armenian means Armenian, and park is park. There is a world-famous museum of genocide in in Yerevan, a museum that takes every visitor back to the horrible and dramatic events that happened 105 years ago. That place on its own is one of the most important places for our nation. But there is around 100 hectares of land around it, and my suggestion or the project is to develop that 100 hectares as a park. And that park should be having several meanings. One of the first meanings is to be a park of remembrance. So it will be consisting, the idea is to make it a park of parks. So the first smaller parks will be the ones that are representing Armenian lost regions in historic Western Armenia or in Ottoman Empire. Regions that were around big cities like Van today or Erzurum and others. So this is the lost history of Armenians, the history that and the towns and the regions that were lost during the genocide. The second ring of parks would be Armenians all over the world representing Armenian diaspora centers, be that Armenians in Moscow, in Nizhny Novgorod, or in Sochi, Krasnodar, or in Marseille, or in London, or in Manchester, or in Los Angeles, or Watertown, or in Boston and elsewhere, or in Argentina. And the third one is Armenia today. So this will be a big group of smaller parks, and each park will have its owner, sort of. If it's, from the first ring, if it's a smaller park of those named after Karin or Erzurum, so these are those Armenians who are descendants, connected to those Armenians who are descendants of that their grandfathers or grandmothers lived in Erzurum region or Kars region, and they had to run during the genocide. They live somewhere in the world, but they are united because they belong to the same region. So there are unions of those who are from Kars. There are unions that are from Van, so Vanetsiner. So I'm advising them then come together and take care of that park the moment the park is built. So in each park there could be, let's say, 5 or 100 or 1,000 or a couple of thousand trees. So for this union, they will take care of this by organizing gardeners that will come and look after them. And when they come back from Armenia, be that from Los Angeles or New York or Moscow or Paris, they can take their children and grandchildren to that place and show their own garden. So the same is Armenian diasporas. So it will not be difficult for, let's say, for Armenians from Moscow or St. Petersburg to have their smaller parks, and their unions will take care of that park. And again, taking their friends, whoever come to Armenia, not only take them to the museum, but also to take to the park and show that there is a piece of the park that they are responsible for. And the third will be, and I'll be very happy if we will have in the third one, representatives of current Armenia and Artsakh. So for example, Yerevan State University or your university, you can have their smaller park that will be your park, and your professors and students should take care of that. And bring also their ideas or maybe small presence there, be that in a form of a small place to sit and have a chat, or a small monument or something like that. In fact, this is an idea that brings together everybody. So it's an park of Armenian unity. Definitely this is not a park where we will have a lot of restaurants, cafes, and drinking and dancing. There are enough places of Armenia for that, but this will be a proper park, a big one. First of all, the country needs this for its clean air. The Yerevan city, well, more or less the air is clean now because of coronavirus. There are less movement of transport and the air is a bit fresher than it was before. And this comes to question that was raised by Aram, and I'll come back to your question a bit later. But I think the park, a big park on 100 hectares, which is huge, 100 hectares is around 1 million square meters. It will be a park that every evening or day citizens of Yerevan and their guests can visit. It should be a beautiful park. A park that will show that we are maybe a small state, but we are a global nation and we are united. So I take this as an initiative, presidential initiative, to move towards national unity. Every country, every national unity, or every stage of its development, every nation. Doesn't matter who you are, where you live, which nation do you belong to. National unity and our history clearly shows that we have won battles that were not possible to win, but we have won them because we were together. And we can fight coronavirus and any other battle if we are together. And we can fight problems with our neighbors and win that, be that in unfortunate clashes on the borders or on international stage diplomatically if we are united. Unity is not poetic. It can be presented by fantastic poets like Yerishe Charenz and others, but it's practicality, it's absolute necessity. Now, the first question about why it's important for me to have this sort of discussions, because I do consider, although we are a very old nation, but we're also very, very young. Not only because our republic the third republic is only 30 years old, and the first one lived only just a couple of years, and the second one was a part of Soviet Union, and before that for 700 years we didn't have our own state or kingdom. We lost our kingdom a bit more, 100 years ago. So somehow we are a young nation, because this city is young. It's more than 2,800 years old, but it's a very young city. It's young because its current history is around 100 years or more. Unfortunately, we don't have streets that take us back to 500 years or 300 years, even 100 years. But also this is a city that every foreigner coming visiting will see this vibrant energy, and the fact that this city is young. This is one of it. When I compare per excitement of building startups, Armenia is one of the leading countries in the world, because we are a young nation. And I do consider myself as a young president. So my advice to you is never judge or never think who is young or who is old by the number of years that the person has lived. It's all a matter of how young is your soul and how young are you, how young is your brain. If you are ready to learn every day something new, then your brain is young. And there are people that they have lost interest in learning even when they are 20, 25, 30. I don't consider them young. Young are those people who are ready to learn every day, because there's every day something that you can learn, not only at the university, from life, from your friends, from news. If you have this capability of learning. So I want to believe that we are a young nation, because we are somehow trading nation. We lived on the crossroad. We have a nation that had learned to survive. We have gone through huge tragedies and genocide, but we survived. So we are people that we are streetwise politically. So we are there to learn. That's why how on earth one nation like Armenians that are distributed all over the world, we survive and we're successful in America, in Argentina, in Brazil, in France, in Russia, in Lebanon, in Saudi, wherever even in India. Because by our nature we are young. And so I don't even think that I should have these discussions with people like you, with Goris or other universities, because I consider one of the duties of president is also be a teacher. Well, somehow we are lucky that current president was a teacher in his previous life. Teacher meaning I was teaching at Yerevan State University, then other universities in the world, including for a period of time at Cambridge University in UK. So I think teaching means sharing experience, and teaching for me means also learning from you. So staying young, being young as you are. So that's why, first of all, because we are a young nation, and I hope we will stay young forever, and I hope the president, Armեն Սարգսյանն, and the next one will be young presidents, and they will spend their time with younger generation, helping them to basically be successful in their lives. Now, I'm back to Aram's question about the environment. Yeah, that's a very, very important question. I think we can gain so much keeping our country clean and nice and environmentally sound. Because the future, be that in food or tourism, is going to be about Armenia can attract people if they will know, tourists, foreigners will come to Armenia if they will know Armenia is a clean country, is a country that nature is intact. And this is a country when we understand the value of the world heritage. Heritage could be the historic heritage, I mean our churches, our history, and also the heritage of our nature. So it's very, very important. I think clean nature and green nature, environmentally clean country, Armenia could be also making a lot of attraction, but also making a lot of money rather than destroying it. Now about our relations with EU and Eurasia, I think we have achieved something which is positive here. Armenia is the only country that has deep relations with European Union, but we are also a member of Eurasia Economic Union. And we are the only one that is so deeply involved with European Union and is also a member of Eurasia Economic Union. The issue is, will we manage to use this advantage for the benefit of our country, being the bridge of attracting foreigners from Europe or Euro-Atlantic area to use Armenia as a place in order to do business in Eurasia without any customs barriers or any extra tax duties. So this is where the challenge is, to use our unique position as a bridge between Europe and Eurasia, and to use that for the benefit of our country and our nation. But culturally, we are used to it because we live on the crossroad. Crossroads, historic crossroads, they are not only crossroads of wars and conflicts and tragedies or even genocides, but they are also crossroads of opportunity. And historically, we were a trading nation, and we are a trading nation. Now it comes to, I think, about propaganda. When we speak about propaganda, in our case, it should not be propaganda. It should be about just presenting to the world, using our own resources here in Armenia and in Artsakh, but also our diaspora, presenting just the truth. Be that historic truth, also the truth about today's Armenia and its challenges. We don't need propaganda. We just have to honestly tell the story. And that's important because we spoke about the history of genocide. We have to understand that recognition of genocide is not something that is important on its own. Just n number of countries have recognized the genocide. It is very important both for Armenia and also for the world. For Armenia, because by recognizing genocide, those who are recognizing genocide will be also recognizing that they have, as human beings or states or individuals, do everything not to allow to happen genocide again against Armenians. So from some point of view, recognition of genocide worldwide is also a factor of guaranteeing security for Armenia. I think if our neighbor will decide again to repeat what they have done 105 years ago, we have to remind them, and the world has to remind them that that is not excusable, or it should not be allowed at all. And it's important for the world as well, because if we want to stop the world repeat again, I mean, having genocides in Rwanda or in some of the countries in the Far East, or Holocaust or genocide of Armenians, we should openly speak about the fact that all of this is not human, and we have to do everything to stop anybody in the world to even try to think about it. So from Armenian perspective, it's about truth, it's not propaganda. From Armenian perspective, it's about honestly telling the story that happened 105 years ago, and also being united as a nation, being united also with our friends, and not allowing the history, the bad history, to repeat itself. We are a nation that lives, and a homeland is on the crossroad of many civilizations. We are a nation that can make decisions that can change dramatically its own faith and faith others, like 1,700 years deciding to become Christian. We are a nation that knows how to survive. We are a nation that can lose its kingdom for 700 years and then return its state back. And today we are a nation that has huge resource, which is human resource. These are Armenians living abroad and in Armenia and in Artsakh, but these are also friends of Armenia. And I think we have to utilize, and the biggest challenge is how to utilize this, how to make Armenia safe and sound and strong. I think we're not using our strength, natural strength, the human resources that we have fully. And we have to do a lot in order to allow this to happen. I mean, diaspora is not there in order to help Armenia. Diaspora is there to be a part of Armenia. And every Armenian living in Russia, first of all, has to be a Russian, if that Armenian is a citizen of Russia, has to be a good citizen of that country. If she or he, they live in France, they have to be good citizens of France. They have to be good citizens of America, of Russia, of Argentina. But then if they are Armenians, then Armenians, they feel Armenians, and if they don't carry their second passport, then Armenian, but they feel Armenian, I think they have to do everything possible for Armenia, but they have to feel that Armenia is their own homeland. They are not just Armenians of Armenian descent live somewhere and they have to send some support. No, they have to be involved in Armenia. They have to take care of Armenia, and Armenia's problems have to become their own problems, and Armenia's victories and successes have to become their own victories and successes.
Thank you for joining us. So let me introduce myself. My name is Now I live in Western Siberia in ինչպես. So I'd like to know more about the situation with coronavirus in Armenia.
I consider this attack on territory and the borders of Armenia absolutely not human, because there is one fight, one war that the world is fighting today, which is coronavirus. And in the middle of this war, where everybody is thinking or fighting in their own countries the fight against coronavirus, our neighbor decided that they will sort out a military operation and start a military operation in one of our borders.
Two questions, very shortly. The first one is, so what is the main role of the diaspora?
So when you are speaking about diaspora, I am repeating myself, it's our strength. If we don't use our strength, which is our diaspora, our human resource worldwide, we'll look like if a country like Saudi Arabia deciding not to use oil. okay, then it's a desert. Okay? So, if we don't use the full power of Armenians worldwide, then we'll look like Saudi Arabia not using their full power of their oil. So my suggestion is we should learn how to, both in Armenia and in Artsakh in diaspora. Now about leaving generations far from Armenia, being an Armenian sits somewhere inside. And there are two points that I would like to make here. I mean, it's very important for any human to define who you really are. Belonging to something is very important, especially now in 21st century when individual power becomes important and people are free. Defining who you are for your individual purposes is very, very important. And you go through your heritage, you find out who you are. And Armenian heritage can give hundreds and thousands of reasons for you, each of you, for anybody to be proud of it. That brings me to second point. I don't know people in this world that like to associate themselves with failure. Everybody wants to associate themselves with success, with victory. So that's very important to make being an Armenian a success, and to have a successful, strong country, and a successful and united diaspora. Then every young person, and no matter where they live, do they speak Armenian or not, do they belong to a local Armenian community or not, will find that belonging to this nation is a privilege, and they would like to be there. We are Armenians, and there's a big strength in it. And I believe that uniting all of us together will make us very, very powerful. Thank you.